A greater number of locations, longer working hours, and an efficient online booking system. These are the problems on a larger scale, but how do they affect the individual? Scott will now talk you through Mark's story.
Mark is a CEO of a new startup company. He has been super eager to make progress with developing his product, but finds it hard to collaborate with his employees due to the new work-at-home lifestyle. This has made his life very difficult as he noticed his employees' productivity and creativity decrease. He has recently given co-sharing spaces a go, but as they aren't for him. Mark is always very busy and needs more flexibility in the hours that they are available for. And due to Zoom meetings becoming a requirement for most of his business, he needs a private space to talk with his clients. But every co-sharing space he has tried has big issues with background noise. Co-sharing is not what he envisioned it to be. He expected great opportunities to find like-minded people through networking. Mark just wishes that there was a trusted company with a good reputation on them that he could use. Whatever will Mark do? Worked-in needs to expand its capabilities for customer flexibility, sound, privacy, and the customer's comfort. We will outline the solutions to these key areas, starting with our new app. The Worked-in mobile app is going to bring serious innovation to the company and put it on top of all its competitors. The key features of this will be the networking, the leaderboard, and the ability to book a seat. The leaderboard will allow for users who log on the most hours in Worked-in to allow for a more competitive environment for those hard workers, which in turn drives each other to success. Then, from here, we go on to the new networking feature. Here we see the networking page that the customers can use. Here, everyone who opts in has the ability to see others in their local Worked-in community. From here, you can talk with others and find great opportunities for collaboration. This will foster and promote the usage of Worked-in facilities.
We identified two main aspects of sound and privacy within each Worked-in location. There's the personal privacy aspect for those important Zoom calls and business meetings where you would really rather not be overheard. There's also the problem of reducing overall sound levels so Worked-in members can work comfortably without being distracted by constant background noise. We plan on creating private hubs using soundproofing curtains, which are fully retractable, meaning they won't interfere with the Worked-in host's business. These curtains, which are made from materials to match the surrounding decor, are capable of reducing noise levels by up to 90%, easily facilitating those private calls. To back up the soundproofing curtains, we are installing sound masking devices around the private hubs. This means we can create a zone in which background chatter and private conversations are suppressed. To tackle the issue of overwhelming background noise while still facilitating collaborative and productive work, we're going to install movable, branded sound dampening panels, which can be installed against a wall or freestanding. The acoustic foam in these panels will catch and suppress the annoying echoes associated with working in a hard-floored indoor space. But aren't these panels going to impose on the aesthetic of the Worked-in? No, they aren't. Each panel is backed with a vinyl wrap to match the surroundings of the Worked-in. When not in use, the panels can either be flipped around and stored so they blend into the walls, or folded together and stowed away. Comfort. We've all been there. Sitting on a wooden bench or a rustic chair in a restaurant. They're not bad for the first hour or two, but I'll tell you, by the time the coffees have arrived after a long meal, they definitely could be more comfortable. Introducing branded cushions will help relieve some of the monotony of those rock-hard chairs. These cushions, although a small item, would be consistent across all our locations, helping to reinforce the unified Worked-in brand image between locations. In locations with little storage, a simple but effective Velcro strap attached to the bottom of each seat would keep the cushion secure and hidden outside of the Worked-in's operating hours. Quality and consistency is important across all locations. A remotely accessible camera, which Worked-in management will have access to at certain times, installed at each work-den location will ensure all work-dens are set up correctly and clean before the work-den opens, helping workers settle down easily each day. But what if all these things don't go to plan? Well, we've thought about some of the risks to our solution, which Alana will now talk you through.
Thank you, Ben. With even the most stable of business models and engineering solutions, there will always be risks attached. That's why we've come up with this risk identification matrix to ensure any possible risks are identified early and that we have effective mitigation strategies in place. The highest severity risks we have identified include lower than forecasted revenue and poor quality sound reduction. We have addressed each of these risks in turn. Bravery and taking risks are part of Workden's philosophy, and we see our proposal lining up with Workden's startup culture in ensuring that we are the first in the market to try new things. Our growth roadmap plans out the next 5 years, and as seen by the end of 2020, we envision the current 4 locations to be retrofitted with the 3 aspects of our engineering solution. Upon success in the first year, we plan on growing year on year. By the end of 2022, Workden's currently secured 6 locations will also be viable. And by the end of 2023, there will be 25 cafes and restaurants ready. The fail fast model means that success for Workden will be long and sustained. And by the end of 2025, we envision a community of 80 Workden locations around the North American region. But what does all this mean for our customer?
Remember Mark? Well, Mark was browsing his phone and came across Workden, and boy, he liked the flexibility he needs for a workplace. The collaborative environment that prospers in Workden give Mark a prime chance to collaborate with his team. The noise reduction capabilities in Workden has allowed for him to effortlessly have his Zoom meetings in peace. Additionally, the networking feature of the new app allows him to connect with people near him in a similar industry. Mark's business is booming, and he will be forever grateful that he discovered Workden. Workden has a host of competitors, each of which have huge limitations due to owning the property that they reside on. Due to Workden's lean business model, they have the opportunity to be flexible in where they have workspaces, while at a lower cost. In addition to this, Workden strives to be environmentally friendly, while also creating great local partnerships. Aoife will now discuss our business plan to you.
Under our business plan, we wanted to increase the number of hours that Workden spaces are open to accommodate the trend towards flexible working hours, as not everyone wants to work 9 to 5. Our combined restaurant and cafe approach allows us to make this possible. Restaurants will be opened as Workden spaces from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m, whilst cafes will serve as a co-working location between 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. During each of these times, those working in Workden spaces will have the option to get food delivered from the corresponding cafe or restaurant that is open for service during this time. The current market trends indicate a clear move towards this co-working model, with the total market value expected to reach 11.52 billion in 2023. And in Canada specifically, the flexible market has grown a massive 79% from 2017 to 2019. These trends show a clear need for a company like Workden to meet the growing demands of the market. In terms of who we envisage as users of our service, as well as our example of someone like Mark, we plan on targeting 3 main markets. Firstly, technology companies. Microsoft, Google, Twitter, Facebook, Salesforce, Amazon, and Spotify have all announced that employees can work remotely in the long term. This means that even post-pandemic, Workden could be a key player in providing co-working spaces for these employees. This could begin as a B2C exchange where one tech employee uses Workden, but over time, companies like Google could purchase Workden passes for a range of their employees, offering a significantly cheaper alternative to their current spend on Google offices. Secondly, we believe that targeting college students is a huge untapped revenue stream. In our own university, there are 30,000 students and 500 library spaces. Universities simply don't have the resources to provide enough study space to accommodate us eager studiers. But this is where Workden could step in. Not only would students be guaranteed a seat by using the booking system on the app, but the productive yet chill vibe of the Workden workspace is perfectly suited to the hipster college student. For our third market, we looked at what kind of companies are deterred from the traditional office purchasing model. And we found that charity organisations, due to severe funding restraints, are often unable to afford the purchase or even rent of an office block for long-term periods. According to research from the Charitable Impact, the majority of Canadian registered charities operate on less than $200,000 a year. And COVID-19 has only made this problem worse, with 81% of charities noting a severe drop in donations since the beginning of the pandemic. So how can Workden help? Initially, we envisage offering a slightly reduced rate for charity workers. However, as Workden becomes more profitable within these next 5 years, we would hope to increase this discount even further. Looking into Workden's social media presence, they currently have 600 Instagram followers. We believe that this could be hugely increased through a successful marketing campaign. In designing this campaign, we began by thinking, why do people use Workden? What is the main advantage of working in a space surrounded by others, as opposed to at home by yourself? And the answer? Productivity. If you look around and see others working hard, it encourages you to work harder. Why? Because productivity is contagious. Through our campaign, people who use Workden will be encouraged to share via their social media one thing that they've achieved that day. For example, finally submitted that report, #productivity is contagious. Not only will this encourage Workden users to reflect on how helpful the workspace was, but it'll also encourage others to join the productivity movement. Our other marketing strategies include branding on ceramic mugs, which will serve as tea and coffee mugs for Workden users, but will also be used in the restaurants as a form of advertising for Workden. We will utilize LinkedIn targeted advertising to specifically target companies and industries, as well as our leadership board via the app and a constant feedback loop. In terms of our positioning strategy, we envisage ourselves as being located just within the low price, high quality bracket. The quality provided will be comfortable but not luxurious. This is key to maintaining Workden's 60 to 80% cheaper price than its competitors. Within our business plan, we are keeping Workden's current pricing model. In terms of financials, our revenue projection sees the number of cafes and restaurants grow from 4 to 10 to 25 to 50, and by year 5, we envisage having 80 participating cafes and restaurants. Initially, the number is lower due to social distancing guidelines, but by year 3, we envisage these restrictions being fully lifted. In terms of our startup cost per cafe, this includes the IP camera, the branded cushions and mugs, the curtains, sound panels, sound masking and lighting costs. This gives us a total startup cost to fully fit each cafe of $2,697, as well as the once-off development costs of our app and our maintenance and costs of technology and marketing. However, our focus on social media marketing will allow us to keep this figure low. So why choose Workden? What are our unique selling points? We offer a collaborative and private working space in one convenient location with soundproofing technology, competitive rates, flexible working hours, and a lunch delivery option. So the real question is, why wouldn't you choose Workden?
And why wouldn't you choose Workden? On top of these unique selling points, we have sustainability at the heart of our vision for Workden. We have aligned our proposal with the global goals, particularly goals 9, 11, and 13. The repurposing of restaurants and cafes for office use positively affects and the sustainability of infrastructure. We are ensuring sustainable infrastructure and hence addressing goals 9 and 11.
Over. So the Q&A session can begin now. So sorry to cut you off.
Thank you all so much for listening. We welcome any questions.
Great presentation, guys. I think it was very thorough. You guys hit on a lot of points that were relevant. A few specific questions I had, maybe it's my own misunderstanding. At one point you messaged owning locations. Was that something I misheard?
Yes, so in relation to owning locations, we were saying that other companies such as WeWork, for example, own locations, and then that's an issue with those companies, was what we were trying to get across. And we were saying that it was a big advantage for us to not own properties.
Perfect, excellent. And then one other question was in 2024 expansion to 50 locations, There's something mentioned, the active noise canceling phase. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I can answer that. So we did look into a possible solution. It's called an active noise cancelling bubble. So there's a company developing the technology at the moment. However, we believe it wasn't quite at commercial stage yet, as in they're bringing it to market. So we believe by 2024, we would be able to implement that technology in our private hubs, meaning that it would be completely sound insulated from the rest of the work den.
Perfect, thank you.
Could go next. Hi, I'm Mary. Excellent presentation from start to finish. Just one question I have for you is you focused a lot on restaurants and cafes, but are there any other types of spaces that you could have explored to introduce work den?
Yeah, so we actually discussed this at length when we were trying to decide what our best features were, and we looked at, like they mentioned in the brief, different studios. So for example, yoga studios or dance studios, which would only be used in the evening, as well as looking at hairdressers, as they tend to have one chair and one desk in front. However, when we considered our options, we still felt that restaurants and cafes were the best option due to the vibe of the places. That's what we're going for with our target audience. We want our customers to feel like they're comfortable enough to sit back and have a coffee. And the other thing as well with the dance studios is that WorkDen would have to provide the furniture, and we really didn't want them to have any capital expenses. But instead, the restaurants and cafes already have tables, already have chairs. We're simply adding the cushions, the soundproofing technology, so it's a much lower expense for WorkDen. And to retain that 60 to 80% margin where they're much cheaper than their competitors, we felt that the best option was restaurants and cafes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Over to you, Tim.
Yeah, thanks. Great presentation, folks. I saw your numbers very quickly. I saw that jump to 80 locations, and I think it was 9 million in sales. Is that it? Can you just explain kind of what you think the conversion rate is and what you think, you know, revenue per location looks like, so we get a sense that your numbers hold?
Yeah, of course, Scott, if you wouldn't mind flicking back to that slide. These revenues are assumed that we have all our cafes filled, every seat in every cafe filled, and that they're each taking the monthly pass and paying for 12 months a year. So the real figures could be slightly lower than this. However, looking at the current model, it's really a lot better value for the customers to go for the monthly one as opposed to the daily and weekly. So this is how we envisaged it. And in terms of the number of cafes, yeah, you're absolutely right. It does jump significantly from 50 to 80. However, given the growing market trends, we believe that this is quite an accurate prediction. And with more people working from home, more people co-working, by the year 24-25, we believe it'll be the norm. It won't be a kind of a weary technology or weary area that people are unsure of. We believe it'll be quite common.
What would a pessimistic scenario look like, especially considering I don't think students are going to go for a monthly pass. I think it'll be serendipitous. They'll take it as they need it. And, you know, it's clustered around a university. So what's a more realistic, you know, on the fly, week by week, you know, not 100% capacity situation? What's a reasonable number that I can go to investors with?
So if we thought that this would be the trend and that they actually wouldn't be going for the monthly pass, I would say this figure could be reduced by probably 30%, as we were expecting a third of the market to be purely students. As we ourselves discussed it, and we feel that we would go for the monthly pass. But like you said, if the market research didn't allow that, I would reduce those figures by 30%.
All right, I'll welcome my colleagues to ask additional questions.
No, I'm good.
Sorry, I'm good as well.
All right, we got the time. I'll ask you a few more for some fun. You know, why not? Talk to me more a little about your marketing campaign. You've got 3 target markets. I think these target markets have got different needs. I think, you know, the app features will be different. I think that, you know, the way social media is leveraged will be different. So how do you prioritize? Where do you start? And what differences do you see, you know, us needing to kind of understand in order to kind of target these different markets?
Yeah, so I'll jump in and then someone can add if they like. So for year 1 and 2, we are really focusing on the tech market, given that these will be the ones who are mainly moving away from the offices. And yeah, they're very different markets. For example, the charity market is quite disconnected to both the student and tech one. However, we believe that this will really increase the CSR around WorkDen by working through charities, which will increase their customers as well. And the initial knowledge needed for the tech markets will be done through market research, and then separately again for the students, and they may have different needs. There might end up, as we increase our workspaces, having a cafe more suited to one of the target markets, a different cafe altogether suited to another target market. However, initially we envisage all three target markets being able to work together in the same cafe or restaurant.
Okay, I think with the COVID situation, people are going to be actually happy to get back to the office and actually see people. And I think also at the same time, we're going to see organizations realizing we don't need to have big headquarters downtown. We actually can have people work from home. Do you think that will threaten this business? Do you think that's going to lead us to, a shrinking of this business in the long term?
Well, there's been a bit of a move towards, I know with the big tech companies, and I know a lot of other American companies have actually said that long term, they are allowing employees to work from home. But I know myself, even just through college, working at home a lot of the time, I don't personally have a workspace at home that I can work in. So we feel like long term, and the growing trends that were mentioned earlier, that it's actually just an expanding industry at the moment.
I'll ask you one last question just for fun. We'll do an ethics thing. Why not? Your ideas at the actual location, I think, are quite interesting. There's some very interesting ideas there. The camera, though, that for quality checking, works me worried about privacy. What's kind of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a big discussion between us about privacy. So our plan there is to have it timed so it would be completely electrically off for most of the time, and then it would only be turned on for work done checking. So it could either be on a timed plug or a timed switch. So the only period that it would be on would be after the setup of the location of the work done. Then it will be turned on for a quick check, and then it will be turned off again. So that there would be no access to that during the day when either the work done host business is running or when the work done is running itself.
Thanks, folks. Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
Actually, can I ask a question for fun? Do we have time? Yeah? Okay, so I just wanted to ask a question around sustainability. Some of the new tools that you have developed or proposing, are they sustainable? Can you talk a little bit about them? Like your dividers, for example.
So the dividers, the company we base the cost of the curtains and the curtain railings off are a Canadian company, as well as that all the technology we plan on implementing, we would ensure that it's locally and sustainably sourced to address any sustainability problems, and the repurposing of the facilities and the office spaces into restaurants and cafes positively contributes to a sustainability vision for the company.
Just to add to that, in terms of the actual dividers themselves, the stand-up dividers, so they're not attached necessarily to that one location. So perhaps if that business, the host dropped out, those dividers don't have to be skipped, they don't have to be wasted, they can be moved to another work done location and reused.
Okay, good.
I have just one last question if we have time.
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So I just want to know, you guys gave a pretty well-rounded presentation. In terms of one part that I found kind of unclarity on was we're adding costs when it comes to these locations. Is there any ideas when it comes to acquisition of customers of what the process would be?
Yeah, Scott, if you could just go to the slide on the marketing funnel. So in terms of acquiring customers, we envisaged this and talked about it as a 3-stage phase. So the first thing is the awareness, and this will be through our Instagram campaign, our current website. So Workden currently has a website, however, we'll be adding the app to that. So that'll be just initially creating awareness of our product, of what we're doing. The second thing is the consideration. So this will be talking about the importance of working in different spaces, of collaborating, as it's currently, like we said, a bit difficult when you're at home and you're not socializing, and we have to teach people that it's very important to actually go to a bigger collaborative workspace. And then in terms of the third thing is the decision. So this is where customers look at the competitors, like we talked about, like WeWork, and say, okay, which one is actually worth their while? And then through that, they will decide that our technology, our facilities are the best. So this three-stage process is how we envisage acquiring our customers.
Thank you.
All right, so if nobody has any question, the 10-minute deliberation period can start now. Judges, you can now head to your breakout rooms.
Participants, same will go for you as well. I think you guys should have the prompt on the bottom for your breakout room.
Sorry to interrupt, but can I point out that the team were cut off early. They were cut off of 14 minutes, 30 seconds.
14 minutes, 30 seconds. Let me check what we have here. We have it at 15 minutes. I think I had added you into the presentation. Maybe that's
Yeah,
what.
I know you added me in late, but the team were timing. They all had a countdown on their screen, and they were cut off 30 seconds early.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
okay, we'll discuss that with the team. I appreciate you bringing that up.
okay, thank you. Could you, I know the judges are deliberating now. Would it be possible for you to go into the judges' room and just state that?
Sure, it'll be discussed, 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I will add the participants right back in, just 2 seconds.
Perfect.
Okie doke, everyone should be coming back in. Go.
The 10-minute feedback period can start now.
Could I just say one thing to start? It was to do with the timing. So I've had a timer running on my desktop, and it was started when our presentation, when Aoife started speaking, and then we were cut off at 14 minutes and 30 seconds, plus or minus a few seconds, according to my timer on my desktop. So
we just want to make sure we don't get penalized for this, because we genuinely
because it was 30 seconds really.
Sorry for the discrepancy, but my timer indicated that you guys started at 4:18, and then I stopped you at 4:33. But I'm so sorry for that.
Okay.
I need not worry. It didn't feel like, an issue on our side. I think you guys just kind of got right to the mark, so it didn't even occur to me, or us in our discussions about your timing. So it's a non-issue, so don't worry about it.
Okay,
thank you. Thank you, really appreciate that.
Anuj, did you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Sorry. So I'll start off. I'm actually one of the partners in Workden. So I wanted to kind of give you a overall kind of where we got the idea and what our plan is. Overall, I think your presentation was excellent. I think you guys hit the mark in terms of all of the problems presented. I think it was well executed, well organized in terms of speaking time and how you passed it on. In terms of criticism, a small criticism would be just to kind of reorganize the way you presented the data, in the sense that a lot of my notes here, as I was saying to the other judges, are kind of what are the economics behind this? What are the numbers? What's the rationale? And you guys addressed that later on in the presentations, which kind of deleted a lot of my questions. So presenting the issue or the conflict followed by the resolution may result in more clarity when it comes to looking at a presentation from the outside. But in terms of your ideas, I thought they were fantastic. Everything makes a lot of sense. There's specific questions for me, such as who's paying for it, but I don't really think that's related to this type of presentation. Our idea was kind of using existing places, making them functional, sustainable, and there being an economic function behind it. Meaning that there was an advantage to the host and the users. And I think you guys depicted that very, very well. So congratulations and thank you for your time.
Okay, so your presentation was really, really well done. I was very impressed with it. You did a great job. I love the fact that you started with a story, which was awesome. And then we kind of lost sight of the story. And I wish I would have known sort of more about the story, what happened to the individual in that story. So, but other than that, it was really great. I love that you talked about not-for-profits. I think that's like a market that's really very often not really a lot of people pay attention to it. So I was very happy to see that you had identified that as a market. And the other thing you talked about it, I asked that question, was around, you know, you focused on restaurant and cafes and you provided a really great response. But I would have loved to have seen a little bit more sort of exploring different opportunities and then saying, this is why it's not going to work. So that's it. But well done. Excellent. Thank you.
Great job, team. I thought you did excellent work. Some structural issues, I'll give you my opinion. You can do with it what you will. I like to see you talk a bit more about the recommendations, spend a little more time there, a little more time with the financials. Those two areas, I thought you went very quickly. Ultimately, in my opinion, I think you covered a lot of things. And I thought if you had cut a few little things out and spent a little more time on more of the priorities, it would have been to your benefit. You also spoke at times at lightning speed, right? So it's indicative of having so many things packed into that 15 minutes. 15 minutes is not a long time, as you know. It's more of a pitch than it is like a full-blown analysis, right? So you gotta pick and choose your battles. I did like a lot of the tactical things you suggest. I thought there was some great ideas there. I personally would have reversed it in a sense. I would have talked about the business plan and strategic side first, and then got into the tactical pieces. I think strategically you set up and say, here's what I want you to achieve as an organization, and then talk about how tactical pieces fit into that. I thought that would have been a nice way of kind of structuring it, funneling it, if you will. I think in target market pieces, there's some strong ideas there. I think though you could get your marketing plan fleshed out even further, you know, right down to the point of using influencers and social media, specific tactics that you use there to carry out your strategy. These are three very different target markets. So I'd like to see you understand the dimensions of them a bit further. This conversation we had as a judge before with Anuj, we kind of talked about like the value chain. You know, you've got the customer at the end, which you focus on primarily, but I think the partnership with the host would have been something to look at even further, how they fit into this thing, because they're a big part of this as well. How, you know, the things that they're going to do in their location, they have to buy into it, they have to be part of it, and hopefully they'll pay for some of it, you know. So that would have been areas to kind of consider a little bit further, I think. I think the growth trajectory made sense. I think hitting the 80 locations, I think is a good number from my perspective. I think investing in some of the tactical elements you talked about in a 2-year span gives an organization a chance to grow, bring in some revenues, and then invest those revenues. So I thought that was very, very logical. But then the numbers were very optimistic. So, you know, show me at the store level, show me at the location level, you know, the usage, the client acquisition cost, what it potentially can look like, and then take profitability from that store location and then multiply it against the others. By doing it that way, you make us understand very clearly, you know, what's happening at the local level, and we buy into the big numbers down the road, you know, a way of doing it. I thought you answered questions very well. A little fast at times there too. You tried to cram a lot in there. But I thought you guys all spoke well. I think you all answered questions well. And, you know, I think the division of labor, the way you managed it, I thought was very effective. So congratulations.
Does anybody want to add something?
Where are you from?
Can you not tell by the accents?
I did, but I'm trying to say exactly where are you from?
We're from different. Me and the two boys are Dublin. Alana, on the other hand.
I'm from Mayo in west of Ireland.
Okay.
So I think that's it for now. You guys can leave the room. Judges, you can now input your scores.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck rest of the week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the case. And I really enjoyed working on such a new and innovative company. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks.
I guess what we'll do is, folks, we'll join the breakout room again to input our scores, because I mean, obviously, we're recording on this side, so we can just go into our breakout room.
Sure.
And work from there.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody.
So did you say we'll go to our breakout room, Tim? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Shelby, if you can just point me into the judges breakout room, that'd be great.
Sure, no problem.
Perfect. Thanks, bud.
No problem.
Thanks. I'll talk to you later.
Talk soon. Everything was is good for the scores and everything. Perfect. Thank you, Anuj, for the message. Perfect. Perfect.
So I just wanted to know, I'm pressing save and it's the same thing.
Yep.
But it's okay, right? Like it is registering?
Yes, exactly. It should be okay.
Okay.
No
All
problem.
right, perfect.
Perfect. So all of that should be good. So we're gonna start back up at 5:40.
Yep.
So feel free to take a break, get a coffee, relax a little bit, and we'll see you guys then.
All right, cool. Do we just use the same link or?
Same link, yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. Talk soon. Nusrat, do you mind unmuting?
Yeah.
Did Mary leave?
Is she still in the breakout room?
Yeah, she is. Okay, sorry. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna move her back in. All right. Hi, Mary.
Maybe she's gone because I told her to come back at 5:40.
I'm here. Sorry, I was muted. So my scores, and I just wanted to make sure everything's okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna log off and come back at 5:40.
That's perfect. Would you mind just sending the message for the best speaker?
Oh, I will do that right now.
Appreciate
Okay. Chat. And Shobi, your name is here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. How do you spell her name? Let me see, where did I write it? Aoile. I think, I hope I have the name right. Aioli Cunningham, is that it?
I think, yeah, that should be okay. I have a name list of the names too, so
It was the first presenter. Okay, I just sent it to you.
perfect.
So I'm going to get out. Everything's good for me to go.
Amazing. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. I'm going to log out and log back in, so hopefully my camera will work.
Fingers crossed. Make sure to turn off the computer and turn it back on, right?
I will. I will. Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, Nusrat, take a break, no problem. And yeah, we'll reconvene at 5:35, 5:40.
Perfect.
Cool. There you go, Mary. Camera's working. Perfect.
Wow, the solution worked. Log off and log back in. I'm happy.
Perfect. Okey-doke. Mary, once again, I'm just gonna assign you to the judges room. Just press later.
Yeah.
The same goes for you.
Thank you, Shobi.
Pleasure. So we're gonna start at 5:50 with the next team.
Okay.
So a couple more minutes, relax, no problem. And any questions, anything, just let us know.
Okay, thank you.
Good, thank you guys.
Mary, we can see you.
I know, I'm so
Little
excited.
giant. Yes.
Yeah.
What's the face of the name?
It was the magic of shutting down and starting over.
It's usually how stuff gets back to working.
Anyway, I'm happy. I felt bad my camera was off, but anyway, it's back now.
So have you guys done many competitions in the past? I know, Tim, you mentioned you do these quite often.
Yeah, usually I'm on the competing side, so I oversee our MBA competition program. So we send about 20 teams out a year to about 10 competitions, plus host internal stuff as well.
That's fantastic.
I've only judged a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm on the board of ENGCOMM.
Okay.
But yeah, they had an emergency and I said, sure, I'll give it a try.
I'd love to get my other company a part of it. Actually, I was thinking it'd be a good. I mean, a lot of the struggle when it comes to Workden. I mean, as interesting as it is, a lot of the marketing and hold on one second. I'm sorry. All of the actual implementations of strategies and all that are yet to be seen. But my other business is a little bit more mature in the sense we've been around almost 10 years now. So I started at Concordia at my first year. And we service about 400 companies when it comes to telecom, so internet and phone service. So I'd be interested to see how we could, look at it with a fresh pair of eyes. We've been looking at it with the same pair of eyes for almost a decade now.
What's your time frame? Maybe you could participate in our case at ENGCOMM next year.
I don't see why not. Absolutely.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we're not going anywhere. I mean, we've stood the test of time when it comes to COVID, and we made it through there. So I'm hoping we'll be around by next year. But who would I contact for that?
Me right here.
Perfect.
You don't have to look too far, I'm
man without a face.
Oh, let me turn the camera on.
There we go.
I like the idea of face to a name.
So yeah, if you could send me over your info by email, what I'll do is I'll kind of send you an email with what our struggles are, what our challenges we kind of face. And I think it's a good fit for engineering as well. There's definitely some technology in there and the commerce side of it, as you know. So
Sure, I think that would be a great idea. I'll actually send you an email today, right away after.
Perfect.
This way we're all fresh.
Yep.
So Anuj, do you think the last team paid enough attention to the engineering aspect?
I mean, there was definitely more than the previous one in the sense that they had some sort of technology. So I kind of had to give it to them. But again, I really I'm resonating. Someone asked the question earlier about if we can go back and regrade. And I think that's really pertinent now that I see kind of the disparity between two presentations. There he is.
There you go. Very good.
So yeah, in terms of tech, I mean, sound masking is something that's kind of, it's out there, but it's not perfected yet. Curtains, I think that's not really technology, but it's hard to say, technology can be interpreted as so many things, but I wish someone would pay a little bit more of the intricacies of the app itself and how that would work.
Mm.
Because I think that is the whole collaboration community type approach that I think that's what differentiates things. Like Facebook wouldn't be Facebook without users, right? So
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost argue if people are worrying about quiet, they can bring their own set of headphones and slap them on and get some quiet, or you can rent them out, or you can even provide them.
that's
But I think
it.
the technology in terms of data and all that, that's what is the more exciting part and the actual
Exactly.
link to that, you know?
Well, I mean, in the sense that, I mean, just on Wi-Fi technology, you can pull a room now and then basically build APIs that grab their interest off Facebook. And that, I mean, 90% of the room likes jazz. That's the music that should be playing just intuitively, not, that's not really technology. That's been around. It's just no one thinks about these things. Wi-Fi analytics are actually pretty rich.
Mhm.
Do you think a lot more businesses like should be using it? Because I feel like you see it a lot with the big malls and everything. You use the information a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But from a business perspective, like any business I've ever really seen, you never really, you never really hear about it unless it's done a lot in the back end. I'm not too sure there, but
I mean, I think that there's a lot of technology, but until you unify all of it, it doesn't make sense. I mean, we'd be so much more further along if everyone was on an iPhone, as opposed to people having Android and different things. We wouldn't rely at all on the cell phone towers if it was up to, if we were on one technology, we would just need data. There wouldn't be phone numbers anymore. But I think there's just so much competition. It's healthy. That obviously fuels innovation. But at the end of the day, until it's unified, I don't think it'll be seamless. But to come back to your mall thing, yeah, like I go to the mall, but do I connect to the Wi-Fi? Not really,
like, personally, I do a lot, so it's free.
Yeah, and malls are suffering like hell, so they're looking at ways in which they can engage on the Wi-Fi. They got to do things that are interesting and get the stores involved as well, So it's another.
Absolutely. Things like Bluetooth beacons. I mean, a big thing was kind of why do you need a server in a restaurant when you can do everything through a QR code and based on localization through Bluetooth technology, even like it's pretty elementary, but it's just very hard to implement because people are pretty, strict in the way they operate.
Right. I think we're seeing a bit of a shift of it too. Like, I know a lot of restaurants and stuff are using even like those little circular, I don't even know what you would call them, buzzers, I suppose.
Yep.
And even then too, rather than having to call out, have people to go to certain individuals around the restaurant.
Yeah.
I think COVID's good. It's going to accelerate a lot of the changes that were coming anyways.
A lot of that, but I definitely will slow down on the sanitation side, right? You can't just pass out beacons anymore either. So there's definitely benefits and drawbacks too. So
that's true. But I mean, if you clean them, there shouldn't be a big issue, no? Like
yeah.
at least you reduce the face-to-face contact,
That's it.
That's the biggest one. Let's see. Okie doke.
We need some of that golf shoe spray, just keep spraying in everyone's products.
Exactly.
My family jokes about finding Lysol to around the house. We always use it for everything, but I don't know. Ever since COVID started, can't find a bottle at all.
No, I was at Costco and it was like a herd of people. The guy was pulling a pallet out of it, and it was like mayhem. People were grabbing them like.
So there's a place on Sherbrooke, in NDG that actually has Lysol right now. They just got a fresh batch. Well, this was yesterday. I wonder if it's gone already.
For sure. Great tip.
I'm gonna call you next time I need Lysol. Just to make
okay. Sure. Well, let me know.
Just have a scotch. Just have a scotch, Shelby. Just have a scotch and you'll be fine.
I love that. All right, so we're at 50. I'm gonna add in the team. Everybody's ready to go?
Yep.
Beautiful. All right, team. If you don't mind just changing your names to have your team name in front of it, that would be appreciated. And I'm just gonna assign you guys to your breakout rooms. Don't just press later for now. And once the judging portion starts, then you guys are gonna hop in the room later on. Sounds good, everybody?
Yep.
Okay, we should.
All right,
All right,
so
Elizabeth.
yeah, so I'll be the timekeeper for this presentation. We're going to start with a 15-minute presentation, then we're going to move on with the 15-minute Q&A period, followed by a 10-minute deliberation period. Finally, there will be a 10-minute feedback period. I will be holding play cards where there are 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and 1 minute left. You guys can start screen sharing now, and I'll tell you when to start. Perfect, so you guys can start now.
So the screen's shared, correct?
Yes.
Sorry, just have to
All right,
share the other screen. Sorry.
let me know when you guys are ready.
All right.
Perfect, so can you start now?
Yeah, perfect. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Workden, for hiring us, Global Assets, to work on how we can have a sustainable co-working industry in the future. So we'll start by meeting the team. Today, I'm joined by my colleague Andres, Sarah, Frank, and myself, Wei, and we're Global Assets. So the mandate is how can Workden become a more competitive within the co-working industry by improving Workden's current approach and by acquiring more market shares. So analysis of the current situation. So as for the external factors, we have noticed that many competitors have been failing. So meaning that this is an opportunity for Workden to grab, as well as the teleworking overall is on the rise. And granted, it's COVID, it's during the COVID pandemic currently, but without COVID, teleworking is here to stay. And also real estate costs have been skyrocketing for a few years now, and this will be a problem for our competitors. So we can use this as our advantage. And finally, using a co-working companies is less expensive than opening multiple offices for bigger companies. So we can use that as well as our advantage. As for internal factors, Workden has a low cost, but it also has a low revenue due to its competitive pricing strategy. However, it is sustainable and has societal benefits, but it doesn't have any location yet, which will be fixed in the future. But also it offers fewer services compared to competitors like the giant within this industry like WeWork and Radius. And next, I will briefly talk about the decision matrix. So we'll be choosing our partners based on 6 criteria. The first one is the timing, depending on when are the bars open or closed. And second one is how many space is available for us to use. Third, it's the storage, how many storage available for us to store our components. Fourth is the environment of the overall location. And the fifth one is will there be any employees available to help out or work them to set up all the tables and chairs. And finally are the locations of the partners. So as you can see with the arrows, we have chosen 4 types of businesses to work with. The first one is the bars, clubs and bars. Second one is the restaurant. Third one are the exhibition and galleries. And fourth one are the movie theaters. So now I will pass it on to Andres to talk to you about the engineering solutions.
All right. I want to tell you guys about a new technology that is actually used in assembly lines in engineering industry. It is called a wearable chair. Now, just a couple of specifications, what this product is all about. The body is made out of aluminum, so we already know that it is lightweight. It has adaptable links for the length of the legs of a person, so you can go from short to a very tall person. The hinge that you see is connecting the red and the black link it's a 180-degree locking hinge, which makes it easy to fold and unfold for a comfortable position. The back braces and leg padding are molded around your legs and into your body shape. Next slide, please. Now, let's think about why would we choose wearable chairs to certain specific situations. Now, let's think about ergonomics and comfort. The traditional chair, it's a 90-degree angle, not the best one, and it cannot adjust the length of the legs. So if I'm a very tall person in a very small chair, I'm really uncomfortable. When it comes to the office chair, we have adjustable height of chair and angle of sitting, but that is limited to a certain extent. A wearable chair would have both the adjustable up to 180 degrees in an angle for sitting, and you can even stand up for people that want to work standing up in a stand-up desk. And you have padding, which is molded to your legs and your back. So it's already very, very ergonomic as it is. Let's talk about space. When we're using an office chair and a traditional chair, we are taking two spaces, which is basically the space taken by the human and by the chair. So you have limited space around your desk. Now with the wearable chair, their space taken is by the human only. When it comes to branding, of course, a traditional chair can always be painted and you can always put a logo into it. An office chair, most providers provide them in black, not orange. So that's a little bit harder. For wearable chairs, the painted color of the links can be done in orange, which is the company color of Workday. And we can also put a logo into it that represents the brand, like a sticker. Let's talk about storage now. This is actually very important. For a traditional chair, the only way to do it is to stack them up. If it's foldable, you fold them and you stack them up once again. For an office chair, you cannot stack that one up. It is comfortable, but when it comes to storage, they're completely inefficient. The only way to store them neatly in a very tight location is to disassemble them, and that takes time and effort. For the wearable chair, with the 180-degree angle, we can be folded up on itself and takes a lot less space. You can see the example right in the top corner over there where you see the wearable chair completely folded, and it can be put in a very tightly knit closet. For current and future locations, for sure the traditional chairs are supplied by Workday and can be supplied by request. And there's many locations that supply them, like restaurants. For an office chair, hard to offer by Workday due to the time of assembly and tools needed for that to be assembled, and also for storage space like I previously mentioned. For a wearable chair, we can be offered upon request by the client if the client wants to use this product, and can be used in even more tight spaces. So more places are available. Say I'm a businessman, I'm in another country, and I want a very small space for a couple of hours. I know it's tight, I don't want to spend a lot of money. This would be my solution. Next slide, please. An alternative. Not everybody wants to use a wearable chair, right? Not everybody's comfortable with that. Some people don't like change. We can always adapt to foldable chairs. This is also another alternative that we want to offer for our client to be comfortable. However, we want you guys to be even more comfortable than that. We prioritize that. So we are putting some add-ons. The under desk padding for your feet, so a footrest, and the cushioning for back and buttocks. So that's one thing we want to provide for you to put in any chair that you find at a restaurant, or for the foldable chair that we're going to give you. For the criteria, we were asked for comfort. These add-ons are specifically for that. We're asked for branding. Color can be custom made and can be requested, and we can even put stickers all around it for our company logo. And for current and future locations, we need to consider the locations that can have chairs and the locations that already have chairs in it in order to find this alternative. Next slide, please. All right, let's talk about power plugs. If you see the top picture right here, this is actually from Workday, and this is work that they did. Look at on the ground, we have a lot of power extensions, and this is very inefficient because there's going to be a lot of cables that are there, and this can make people trip. This is not efficient. And there's no association with Workday whatsoever. People can pass by and see that and be like, this place doesn't know how to manage their cables. It gives a bad impression on the restaurant as it is as well. So it's a bad image. What's our solution? Movable power tracks. So this movable power track can be laid out horizontally or even standing up, making it easier to access it. It can be easily pasted either on the side of a table, horizontally or vertically, like I previously said. And there's less wires on the ground, of course, since the wiring place is right in front of you. It's only one wire that you're going to need to plug into an outlet, and that's the wire of the rack as it is. So this is actually really good for comfort, since people don't need to worry for where they're walking. Now, the sockets can be colored to colors of the company. Once again, from what you can see, there's yellow and orange, which are the colors of Workday. So this is better for branding and consistency. Next slide. Now, Frank will present to you the layout that we have for our tables.
So one of the main things that we want to bring to the table is something different that requires adjustability. So one of the things that we want to bring is the hexagonal and trapezoidal tables, as we can see. So there are main three reasons why we want to bring up these tables. So in terms of the design, the storage, and flexibility capabilities, they work in many different places. So these tables, as you can see on the pictures, they can be combined in many different ways. That's adapting to different restaurants or locations that we need. Second, this type of promotion of combining the tables can be a way to promote the uniqueness of the place that we're trying to sell as a new location. In another way, it also can adapt to different restaurants. As we know, there are not all restaurants or not all services are provided with the same layouts. So this can adapt to different layouts. Also, as you can see on the picture on the bottom left, they are really easy to store. So they take up to 10 centimeters in width to just stock one of the tables. So if you would like to stock them all together, it would take less than 1 meter, depending on how many tables you have. So they are really flexible. The storage is not a problem. And in terms of design, they are really amazing to work with. Now we are going to present to the next engineering perspective. So one of the main problems that we have is soundproof, because there are going to be many workers working at the same location. We need a way to try to separate them and accommodate them in just one place where there is no noise problems and things like that. So for that, we have a soundproof systems that work between workstations. So they are like panels that separate the workstations, but at the same time, they provide silence within your own workstation. So the way that they are made is that they have some acoustical fabric heavy foams, and this foam retains and absorbs the wave sounds from our vocal cords, thus reducing the sound that you can hear between the panels and between the workstations. One advantage is that they are really flexible, they work 360 degrees, and they can accommodate to any type of layout. Finally, this limits the problems that we have with the COVID-19 right now, so it limits the contact that we have between workstations. Next. Yes, yes. So this is the future developments. This is something that is pretty essential. We need to develop an app to provide the customers with something to know if there is availability within one location, for them to be able to reserve the place before even coming to the location, and finally to show new locations and the pictures of these new locations, so we might attract more customers with that. Next, Sarah is going to present about the financials and the positioning of the company.
Thank you, Frank. So why does a customer choose Workden? I'm going to use the 4P analysis to explain the positioning that we propose. So for the price, Workden is already positioned as the most affordable co-working company compared to competitors. We're not going to change that. For the place, we want them to be located in easy to reach spots of every big city of Canada. For the promotion, there's different bundles depending on usage, location, space, and privacy necessary. And last but not least, the product itself, a creative space to work alone or in collaboration with colleagues, easy to schedule your table on a reservation or same-day pop-up. So why does a customer choose Workden? It's a startup with no investment money that wants to get out of the traditional office space and wants to work in a creative space with other individuals for a competitive price. Next slide, please. So how do we want to achieve this? We want to do this in two phases. First, we want to improve the accessibility. So as Frank mentioned, right now you have to call or write an email to reserve your space. This needs to be easier. So for example, through an app or a website, we need to see the available spaces and we need to see a floor map of the tables available. Also, we need to have more locations in general available, where to really maximize the availability of like, oh, we can use like different Workden locations, but if there's only like 3 or 4, we don't maximize that. Then phase 2, branding. So we want to have uniform material and furniture in unique and creative environments that really look beautiful. That brings us to the second point. If they're so beautiful that people take pictures with it, when they put it on their social media, it promotes a lifestyle of this beautiful workspace. We can promote this through TikTok, Discord, and YouTube. Next slide, please. So how do we want to implement all these solutions together? So from now on, and on the current locations, we want to inspect the locations and figure out the floor plan so that we can implement it in our website or our application. And they can easily reserve their table. You need to require all the parts for each location. So depending on the location, a theater would need maybe the chairs. The restaurant would maybe need the add-ons on the chairs. So depending on the location, we're going to order the required parts. Third, we have to instruct the host on the usage of the tables and the folding and the cleaning of the materials, especially in COVID time. And lastly, we're going to have scheduled inspections of the hardwares. I'm going to give you our 3-year plan proposal. So we propose to have 10 locations in Montreal by the end of 2021, and have the site ready so that people can finally reserve their space without the barrier of having to call or send an email. In 2022, we want to expand towards Toronto because we see a lot of possibilities there, as it is there's a big need for office space there. And in 2023, even going to Vancouver and expand more into Toronto as well to attack all the big cities of Canada.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So now I'll briefly talk about the financials. So those are the numbers required per chair, per item we're gonna implement. And those will add up to a total of about $14,360 for the startup cost and of a operating and maintenance cost of $725. And finally, so to conclude, we are offering a Workday innovative solution that will generate market profitability and offering a customer-oriented.
Sorry to cut you off, but the presentation time is over.
Thank you very much.
So the feedback period can start now.
So great presentation, guys. I think you touched on a lot of points that were pertinent and relevant to the case. Just a couple of questions for you guys. I think you guys were pretty spot on with the external factors. You guys mentioned WeWork in comparison to Workden and Workden having fewer services. Is there any specific ones that would give WeWork an edge that Workden doesn't have?
Yes, so as I researched, the two giant in the current service, in the current co-working services are WeWork and Regis. And if I remember correctly, WeWork offers quite a bit of services that Workden doesn't offer right now, which is include, it's a parking service depending on the location. And they also offers, discussing rooms that you can reserve with number of tokens you have. As for Regis, they have like online presence where your company can use the address of a Regis and set it up as your own business, and there will be a front desk. They're like transferring calls for you, receiving packages for you, and ship it to you. So for sure, those are things that Workden cannot accomplish currently. So that's why we're trying to acquire more market share and then upgrade the whole software basically. Yes.
Perfect. You guys mentioned that in the matrix where you show which locations are the best fitting for Workden locations, I think the one that's all green across the top is clubs and restaurants.
Yes.
Within that, it seems like there is already assets within those locations that have people seated. What would you do with the existing seating kind of the chairs in the locations if you were to introduce wearables into the locations?
If you don't mind, I'm going to take this answer. Every engineering aspect of our solution, which I said they're specifically add-ons. So it's an add-on for either an existing chair or for a foldable chair that the client requests. So that's the point. So like we said, there's many bundles that we can choose for someone, and in locations like restaurants and clubs and all of those places, there can definitely already be tables there, which is also why the power outlet, like I told you, is movable, and you can even paste it to the side of a table vertically or horizontally. So all the designs that we considered in applying for Workden have been implemented so to not only think of a location that has nothing with it, hence putting hexagon tables, or a location that already has tables in there. So these would be add-ons as it is, and they're easy to store, like I told you. So it'll be easy to store in a closet with no big issues as it is. So it's actually more advantageous for clubs and bars, which why you can see we chose it as if it is all green. It's because they already have a floor layout, we don't need to take care of that, right? All we need to take care of is put in some plugins right in there, maybe some separators that we can definitely install on the tables, and put the ergonomic attire that everyone's going to need in order to work comfortably.
Excellent. I wanted to just touch upon a little bit of the economics. I think the number was about 14,036, if I'm not mistaken, as a startup cost. Within your assumption, would that be taken on by Workden, or would that be taken on by the host?
That will be taken on by Workden, because it's Workden that will be purchasing all these chairs, tables, and outlets, and it will be property of Workden. So if something changes in one location, you can take those and bring it out to the next location. Yeah.
Okay. And was there any metrics in terms of how to generate revenue, what the input would be to justify those costs?
Yes. So currently, Workden has 3 options: the 1-day pass, the 5-day pass, and the monthly unlimited pass. So those will be the main source of revenue, and also those are not those are physical goods that we can keep for a long time. So Workden is not quote unquote losing money. So even so, you will be paid by itself over time, but we haven't calculated the payback period yet. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll pass it off to Tim or Mary.
Okay, I'll go next. So thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting. Some novel ideas. So how did you identify the number of opportunities? Like you're increasing 10 every year. So what was the model that you used for that? How did you determine there was 12, you're going to grow 10 in Montreal in 21, 10 in 22, and 5 in 23, and 10, actually 15 in total in 23?
Actually, we used the amount of that we found on the website. So Workden has currently 4 locations, and they're already ready to expand to 6 more soon. So we like the 10 locations is very doable in just 1 year. And with that frequency, we expect to expand also in the other cities of 10 per year.
Based on what? What were you looking at in order to determine that you would grow by 10 in Toronto in a year?
So basically right now, Workden has 4 locations in Montreal already, and they were planning to have 6 more by the end of 2021. So that's the current plan of Workden already. So, and Workden has been already, has a start of starting in 2019. So it's about a year. So 10 locations within a year is very doable, especially in a populated area like Toronto, where communal spaces are required. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of a business model would you be using? Is it a partnership with the different restaurants and clubs, or what would that look like?
So it will be a sort of partnership because, as mentioned, the partner we are choosing are mostly bars, restaurant, where they're not using their locations before their opening. So we're offering them to have a sort of passive income to maximize their income. So it's a win-win situation for us and for them.
So the income that comes in through WeWork would be shared with the restaurants and bars and galleries and
yes.
Movie theaters?
Yes, that's correct.
So who would pay for all of the costs associated with the tables and the dividers and the everything else that you mentioned, the foldable chairs, etc.?
Yeah, that would be Workden. That will be paying for all the chairs and stuff, because Workden will be the owner of all those goods.
That would be just unless we don't use them. For example, if there are restaurants who already have those tables and chairs and things like that, we don't need to purchase anything else. So we don't need to incur any expenses on those senses. In that case, it would be just the restaurant who is just utilizing their services.
Okay. One of the values of Workden is social responsibility and sustainability. So can you talk a little bit about that? How did you take that into consideration?
If I may jump in on this one. We are, in our marketing strategy, we spoke about having tutorials on both YouTube and on TikTok. For that, we were based on the fact that Workden seems to be outside of the box, right? It's a very outside of the box idea. So we wanted to target in a way that is outside of the box as well. Just to give you an example, there are startups that put their promotions on TikTok and they promote a message. It could be anything whatsoever, and they get up to 1 million views. So what we want to show is not only tutorials on how we can use our products, how we can use the space as it is, but also specifically on these times, we mentioned that we want to show tutorials on how to maintain the space. So, and how to be more aware. We want to show awareness to people specifically about COVID-19, which is the situation that we are right now. And why did we choose TikTok? Because TikTok actually boomed during COVID-19. That's what we want to show them, that people can still work in a very different location and a very Instagrammable location from what we can show, and that we can show with our products. And yet again, we give you tutorials on how you can do that and how to be aware of the next person that's going to come around here. So that was a part of the strategy for both the YouTube and the TikTok account that we want to create.
Okay.
I just want to add on something. You mentioned something with sustainability, and our plan is actually to try to make the tables and all the sit-ons by ourselves, because that would actually reduce the cost that it takes us. Instead of purchasing them from external suppliers, it would be way cheaper for us to perform it, and it would be more ecological. It's less expensive to pay for somebody else, to do it ourselves, sorry, than to pay for somebody else. And also if it's cheap, sometimes it could be shipped from China, it could be shipped from our suppliers, and there is environmental impact that is being done through shipping those instead of doing it ourselves.
Okay, thank you. Over to Tim.
Your assumption is based on that we know how to make tables. I mean, what makes you think that we are in the business of making tables ultimately? I mean, why not just buy locally or buy refurbished or used that are in good condition?
We have considered this idea. Actually, we are actually approaching this. They make ourselves tables because we have seen that it's pretty much easy to. It's pretty easy to make a table by ourselves, and we thought about incurring less costs. However, we also are looking to suppliers within our own regions, which is Montreal, the future expansion, Toronto, and to try to just find local suppliers to incur the cost. The lower, the better for us, and the more ecological. And also, as we talked previously, this is a collaboration between us and the company we're working with, which is foodie restaurants, bars, and things like that. So we're trying to support local entities in this situation.
Your plan, if I understand it, looking at the numbers that you have here on the screen, is to kind of grow locations, but really to grow more seats in locations. And if I understand that correctly, my question is why not focus on more locations, more cool, interesting locations, so I can work, one day one place and one day another. And importantly, why a wearable chair? To me, this really goes against our strategy of making it inviting and a nice place to work. A wearable chair is novel, but when I look at that, I don't see myself wanting to sit there for a very long time and working. So why not focus more on locations that are fun and interesting, and add locations rather than trying to fit more people into a location?
Actually, the goal with the wearable chair was not to fit more people into one location. The goal with it was to actually expand to not only target office, but also specific individuals that maybe don't have time to look for a place where there's a table and a chair. So if you want a corner that is specific to yourself, and you could be space limited, absolutely. Not everybody thinks about a club or any place that they have available to it. Wearable chair could be something that we propose to them. And if you say that it's not ergonomic, I politely disagree with you, because this is actually used in assembly lines for automotive industries and for many assembly lines in engineering industries, where people are actually moving and twisting their backs and going underneath and doing all kinds of stuff. So this has been used in many ways, and it's quite ergonomic because it already molds into your body as it is. So it's just an option that we're using for very specific locations, which was actually presented to you guys as a very specific option. So we don't want to just target, we're only taking 5 people, by the way. That we don't want work then to act that way. We're not taking only five people as a group. If you're a one individual and have limited space and you want something cheap, even, go ahead. Why not? You're expanding your market. You're giving more people the option to actually see your product. We're showing work then as someone that is open to more possibilities, not just singling, you're a startup, we only take you. You're 5 people, we only take you. If you're one individual that is specific, we'll accommodate to you. That was the whole point of Wearable Chair. The point of it was not to say like, oh, we have so much space, let's fit 60 people in there. That's not the point.
Where do I put the laptop in that scenario? I mean, I got to work, right? So I'm sitting on this chair. Where do I put my laptop?
But the chair doesn't include a table, of course, but we would think of putting a table there. But it's like I said, if it's a limited space, the same question goes there. Where am I going to put my laptop? On a table? Okay, but where am I going to sit? It's such a limited space. Once again, that was the goal of it. Is if you're really limited, we want to give you an option. Well, there will be a table right here. In front of me, I have a table of a 1 meter and 45 centimeters in width. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's very limited. It's a very limited space, but I'm sitting in an office chair. Maybe I don't have that much space in the place that I want to work. We want to give you an option for that. So you can still put a laptop in a table. I'm not sure if that really relates to the chair as it is, but there would be a table, obviously.
If it's 14,000, then what's the return on an investment?
So as I said previously, we haven't calculated the revenue yet. So we'll have to come back to you on that.
The Q&A period is now over. So the deliberation period will start now. Participants, you can join the waiting room, and judges, you can join the breakout room.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff.
What's up, Chief?
What's up, Chief?
What's up, Chief? I think everything's going well. Just came to check in because I know Mary was having camera issues.
Yeah.
So I see that that's fixed.
Got it. Yeah. Pretty solid, bro.
We have one more wave to go, so sorry, just got a message.
Yeah, no stress.
So I think everything's going well. Everything's on time for the most part.
Yeah, it's pretty smooth. I think we're pretty on time, maybe 3-4 minutes. So yeah, pretty good.
That's expected, but just remember to get those names and fill out the sheet.
Yeah.
For the awards. I'm not sure. You're Division 2, I believe.
2, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, just when you get those names, fill them in. I see that you're doing them as we go, so keep up the good work.
I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you.
All right, later, bud.
All right, take care.
you want to use the same model? Anujar, you want to kick it off?
Yep, sure, absolutely. Is everyone here?
We're waiting for one more. Oh no,
Okay.
it's here. Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, so you can start your feedback now.
Okay, perfect. So great presentation, guys. Overall, I think you guys were very innovative in terms of your solutions. I think it's one of the first cases that we've seen in terms of participants that looked at it from a strictly innovative way. I think the ideas, I don't think anyone else thought of something like that. That all to say, at times I found the ideas to be a little far-fetched in the sense that they were addressing an issue that doesn't really exist. When we came up with the business concept of WorkDen, it was to get as many unique spaces and get as many unique businesses or individuals into those spaces. I don't think there's a shortage of unique spaces, especially in this city. And it was kind of to take advantage of those different environments and locations. That being said, I think your presentation was very good, very succinct, but it did lack clarity at times for me. I was often confused whether these were add-ons or full-out ideas. But all to say, I think we could focus on kind of being more clear in the presentation overall. I'll pass it off to Mary or Tim.
Sure. Thank you. Great presentation. I really enjoyed it. I thought you had some really good innovative ideas. One sort of piece of guidance that I would like to give you is I think it's important to actually take into account a lot of the different aspects that were highlighted in the case that are important to the company. So look at their values, look at their sort of vision, where they want to go, and look at the sustainability angle of as well. I mean, I asked about it and I got a response around, you know, the app. And I mean, these are really critical aspects to the success of the business because that's the vision and the direction they want to go. So I would encourage you to pay a little bit more attention to that. I thought the chairs were interesting because they're the space. I mean, it's innovative. They don't take up too much space, but what would you do? What would restaurants do with, you know, the chairs they already have? So I don't need an answer now. I just kind of wanted to highlight one of those, the aspects innovative and costly. And yeah. So I will stop there and hand it over to Tim.
Thanks, everyone. It was really great watching your presentation. I really like the fact that you dug into the location itself and looked at ways in which it could be designed and looked at furniture seriously and looked at other ways in order to making the experience better. I mean, we can debate all day, you know, a particular idea, and I don't think that's as important, you know, as looking at it seriously. And even I like the fact that you looked at all different possible locations and evaluate them. I thought those are the two areas that stuck out in my mind and things that I really liked. You know, for better or for worse, the standing chair or the wearable chair, it came across as a centerpiece. And I don't necessarily think that was like your intention, but it was delivered that way. So it's natural for me to kind of go after you with that chair. I mean, my job as in the Q&A as a judge is to challenge you on the things that you've proposed to us. So that's the spirit of this, right? So I ask yourselves, did we mean to do that? Did we actually mean to make this really as big a centerpiece as it was? If not, restructure it. It could have been easily one piece of one idea, one slide, and we probably never would have talked about it again. And when it's, you know, kind of zeroed in on it. I think it was the mandate well. I like to see though the analysis or business side and the innovation side covered, you know, in a more balanced way. I think you went through the analysis discussion very, very quickly. Didn't have enough conclusions there to support some of the recommendations that you made. And really, the innovation and engineering side should be justified from a business standpoint, from a client standpoint. So I'd like to see you talk about the client more specifically, the partners in terms of the restaurants or cafes or wherever we're working with and how that relationship can work. That would have been a good thing to flush out. I did appreciate the costing of it, but then of course you have to have a return on investment. It's so important. And in terms of like the customer, the marketing piece, you are still at the idea generation stage. You know, you just can't talk about social media. You just can't mention an app. You have to show us how it's going to work, what time frame looks like, how it's going to connect with the audience. this is an all important part of being able to make that brand and accessibility kind of work together in an effective way by demonstrating how to communicate that effectively to target market in a way that resonates well with them. So that would have been, I think, a crucial piece to kind of add on overall. In the Q&A, I think you guys rallied really well. I think you fought very hard to kind of sell your ideas. My suggestion would be to shorten your answers. They were very long at times, very circular, and an indication you try kind of skating in a way and try to fight back and rally back. Look, you can never answer all questions perfectly. In my view, you're better off giving a clear, succinct answer, defending your position, and you even said at one point, Andres, you said, respectfully, I disagree. Perfect. We don't have to agree. You have just simply to try to convince me or put a shadow of doubt in my mind. And that was what you're trying to do. But clear, succinct answer, and then move on to the next question, because as you get asked more and more questions, you get more and more opportunity to shine. And if you get asked 3 questions and struggle with 2 versus being asked 7 questions and struggling with 2, it has a big difference. It leaves a very different kind of ending to your presentation. Okay, so zeroing in and clearly and being concise would be important. Ultimately, your job in your Q&A is to revert back to the overall plan. So the chairs are a piece of the overall plan. The tables is part of an overall plan. So if you can bring it back to the overall plan and vision of the recommendation and plan, it kind of takes away the steam of questioning you on a chair or a table, because that's not as important as the overall plan. So make sure that everything is directed back to what you're trying to achieve for this company strategically. If you can do that, you can almost sell any idea, in my opinion. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much. We really
Thank you so
appreciate all the
much.
feedbacks.
Thank you.
All right, so participants, you can leave the room.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And judges, you can now input your scores. I think we should head to the breakout room to
Okay.
All right, we'll just wait for Mary to join back in. Perfect. Everybody's ready to go?
I didn't catch their names, to be honest.
Oh, okay, no problem. Let me see if I have it. I have it here open.
Be back in less than 1 minute.
No problem.
I actually have the names. Do you want me to write it in the chat?
If you don't mind.
Nusrat, could these be the one that's coming up? Can I have the ones for the previous one?
Oh, yeah. Nizra, do you have the names? If not, I have them right here. Let's try. I'll send you guys a private message. Your name. Okay, perfect. There you go, and there you go. If you want to see pictures too, just let me know. I have a slide with their faces on it. Okay, perfect. Okie doke. So everybody's ready to go for the next round. Good. All right. I'm gonna let the teams in. All right. Hi, team. If you guys don't mind just putting the name of your team before your names. And then, yeah, everything should be good. I'm assigning you guys to a breakout room. Just press later. When the judging starts, you'll be joining it then. And yeah, Nusrat, you got it from there.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to be the timekeeper for this presentation. We're going to start with the 15-minute presentation. Then we're going to move on to the 15-minute Q&A session, followed by a 10-minute deliberation period. Finally, there will be a 10-minute feedback period. We'll be holding play cards when there are 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and 1 minute left. You can share your screen now, and I'll tell you guys when to start.
We have a it says that we need to join breakout group. Do we do that right now?
Just press not now.
Okay, because I think one of our
No problem. I can just reassign them back in.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, there you go.
Can we get started?
Rabu.
Yes. Rabu, if you don't mind sharing your screen, please.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get started. Hello, everybody. My name is Puneet, and we are the Flame Consultant.
My name is Katul Soni.
And my name is Rabu Gandhi.
Rabu, turn your camera on.
Oh, okay. My bad. Yeah, so my name is Abu Gandhi. I'm sorry. I didn't turn the camera on. All right.
Can you go
I
to
think
the
there might be a on that. The last team member is Shreeman over there, but I'll get started with our presentation. So if we scroll down to the executive summary, I could start summarizing a little bit of our project for you. So we basically took the reputation and the company that we already were given, which is called Workden. So the only thing we did was do modifications and apply some new technology to that. So since we already know that Workden had a lot of locations in Canada, but our goal here was to expand it to North America and then bring it to America a little bit more. So some of our target audiences here, which we were going to implement later, were small businesses, cafes, airport hangars, restaurants, and nightclubs as well. So mainly here, we wanted to look at the fact that we wanted to rebrand the locations and make them unified. So we made custom tables, custom chairs, dividers, and bean bags, and they all have the Workden logo in there. We'll show you sketches, some of the sketches later, but that was our goal, to give it a new look. So every location looks similar. Now, if Shreeman would like to talk about the introduction of our proposed business.
So Workden is a co-working company founded in 2018. The establishment was founded on the idea that Workden has an obligation to make sustainable decisions. So Workden does this by repurposing urban real estate offices for office use. This helps the society by partnering with local companies and helping them stay in business, while also strengthening the surrounding businesses by creating more people. And Workden embraces the startup culture by trying to think of new ideas as proposed by Puneet earlier. And this level of creativity allows the company to stand out from the competition. Currently, Workden sells both to individuals and large corporations. However, 80% of this current sales come from B2B sales. These B2B sales come from B2C sales as consumers tell their bosses and other members to bring their whole company to work with Workden. Each location is unique as each restaurant or venue is different. Workden prides itself on the uniqueness of each location and providing its own material for its customers. The problem statement. So due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Workden's partners are facing difficulties. The fear of getting COVID has led to less people working, which led to a loss of revenue. Workden needs to improve its current service offering and expand to new locations. Each customer should feel a similar experience at each location. Workden also needs to be cheaper than the competitors and provide a quiet place for their customers. As well as if a customer wants to attend meetings, there should be a private room available where customers would be able to talk. Each location must be uniform, showing like an ideal brand image, and while also creating a comfortable environment for their customers.
Here, if you look under 2.1, we mentioned the new implementations we would like to introduce, which like I discussed, would be branded furniture in entire stores and also some new locations. We also will talk about in detail what we meant by our coffee machines, custom coffee machines. We also have new modifications in promoting the app and also using the app more often. So COVID is in mind. And also we will have printers, and as well as blankets and pillows will be provided if somebody needs more comfort in any location.
So some considerations we would like to add in order to break down some of the information you guys just listened to regarding what we would like to implement is that in the short term, we would obviously have to keep COVID in mind. So in order to have safety for people coming in, using their workspaces and leaving day to day, there will be strict local restrictions for safety. Therefore, every client that we have coming in will be temperature tested. Guests must be wearing masks at all times. There will be sanitizer stations and wipes located in multiple areas of each facility. Depending on the size, there will be more or less. And each seat and area will be cleaned after, which will increase our short-term costs, but it will be safer for the community, which is what matters more. In the long term, in order to have the Workden branded furniture, I know they mentioned in our problem statement that we need to have some similarities between each location. Therefore, having Workden branded furniture in the long term would mean that we would reach out to a distributor and have them make furniture, tables, chairs with our logo in order to get our name out there more. And also it will be more cost effective, as we won't be looking for different distributors each time. It'll be easier on us to order from the same company, similar products, which means that the cost per unit over time will be less because we'll be ordering in more bulk, and we'll create that uniformity between each location. We can also accommodate to our clients' needs better as we hear what our clients like and dislike. We can custom order what they would prefer.
So I would go over now the implementation of the plan. So basically what the commodities that we are thinking to accommodate in this plan is like chairs, which would be easily like comfortable and easy to transport, and the walls are the areas that are concerned for each and every person occupying the space. The privacy needs to be taken into account. For that, soundproofing walls are also provided. And since we know the time has been a valuable and a limited resource for every individual who is in the business field, so looking that into account, we have also provided them with some custom coffee machines also that will work on certain app features, so that the clients who are using our facilities can get the privilege of using coffee with just a click of a button that is available on the app, and they can scan the QR code on the vending machines to skip the line, basically to avoid the spread of COVID-19. And the machines are smart enough to clean themselves and to sanitize themselves, so that all the necessary measures of COVID-19 have been taken into account. And all the materials that we are going to use, be it for construction of chair or the boards that are implemented for walls for the privacy, are biodegradable, to keeping the environment safety into account as well.
Now, as Praneeth mentioned earlier, we were able to make a few drawings under 3.0 for the models. We made some few drawings to give you guys a sort of an idea of what type of products and branded products we would be relating to here. So on the upper left corner, as you can tell, that is a wall panel. So for our clients that want a little bit more privacy, that don't want to communicate with other people, maybe some lawyers want to talk to their clients and such things like that, we would have wall panels available that our clients can put up or have put up by our employees, which would be in a 5 foot by 7 foot piece, and they can expand them to make one 5 by 5 cubicle, or they can even mix and match and make it a 10 by 5 or whatever size they prefer the most based on how many panels are available. Then in order to accommodate for our customers' power needs to charge their laptops, phones, and other devices, headphones, and everything that they bring with them, we would have the table, which would also be the orange and black, and the outlets would be built into the table. So for ease of folding the legs in and storing them and having the electronics in them at one time, we won't need to have a bunch of cables and electric power strips and such. We would just have it installed into the table, and we just plug that one table into the wall, and that will take care of each table's needs. Then we were also, in order to create a more comfortable environment for some of our business members that would like to come in and do their work, we would offer comfortable chairs such as the one on the bottom left, some ergonomic, comfortable, laid back chairs that can support them. They can go on their laptop and do their work there if they prefer. And we would also offer beanbag chairs, similar to kind of give kind of like an environment where Google and Microsoft employees have, to where they can get more creative, sit back, relax. They don't have to be stressed on time. And they don't have to be stressed on time or stressed about their work. They can be a little laid back, relax a little bit, and also get their work done at the same time.
So next we will go into the marketing strategy of this project. So our marketing strategy was to target the audience that we will target, which would be small businesses and startups. So some of the small businesses currently are facing a lot of hardships because of COVID. So we would be kind of a helping hand to them, and we would give them a commission in order to rent their spaces and make them into a permanent or temporary workspace for our clients, and that would generate income from both sides. So a unique selling point here would be the fact that we are competing with Microsoft and Google, but at the same time our facilities are available for anybody and everybody. So as long as they pay the expenses and they book it online or they book it in person, we have no issues whoever comes in. We don't have the kind of mentality that only employees and only certain kind of people can access our spaces. So that would be our unique selling point, and which would make it to unique to many customers and attract a lot different types of people.
Underneath 4.3 for our SWOT analysis, we also decided to take a look at what would be the ups and downs of our plan. So some strengths of our plan would be having those one distributor furniture pieces. We would have some uniformity. Having these locations set at restaurants would help small businesses and offer those workspaces for businesses, temporary per day. Some weaknesses would right now currently affecting us would be COVID. We would not be able to have as many of our clients in each location at a given time because of limits and social distancing. It would be expensive to continually take in our materials and take them out over time daily so that our small businesses can run in the evening or whenever they run at a normal time outside of partnering with us. And another difficult aspect that we sought to find is that influencing some small businesses to partner with Workden may be difficult, as we'd have to have a very strong selling point in order for them to want to work with us, meaning some type of royalty or such. Some opportunities is that we would have very creative workspaces. People can network with other business owners. They can meet with people with similar interests, which is another form of networking. It's affordable for our business partners to come and use our workspace. It's not as expensive as them renting out their own workspace, and it's available to everybody. Some threats would be that small businesses may not cooperate. It would be hard to keep employees to set up and maintain locations, and storage costs could add up over time. And if technology bugs affect us, such as the machinery or something breaks down.
So for the financials and budgets, we modeled our finances and expenses and budget over a new location that is a restaurant with the size of 2,000 square feet. So based on the 2,000 square feet, we calculated that the maximum occupancy would be 200. And that is based on the fact that one person in a restaurant uses about 10 square feet of space. So due to COVID restrictions, the maximum occupancy would be below that, so 100. So it would be at 50%. And then the average staff size is 25 people. So that means a maximum of 75 people could be using this location at a given time. So the location that we chose this was in our home state of Illinois. And the commission that we are given is based on the state corporate tax rate, which is 7%. So our initial operating expenses for this location would be $20,800 based on 5 tables, 10 chairs, 20 wall panels, 1 printer, 10 beanbag chairs, 1 coffee machine, 10 blankets, and 20 pillows. And obviously these numbers would change depending on the location and the size of the location. If the location is like a nightclub, for example, we would need a lot more tables and a lot more chairs. And then table 5.2 shows the monthly operating expenses per location, or for this location that we are proposing. So the storage space we would say is 100 per month, and because of the extra material that we have, we're saying that a driver would be paying $100 to bring it back and forth at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day. So that would equate to the $2,000, and then the total value of the equipment is $20,800 from the given table above. So this shows that Workden can put aside around 10% for damage replacement. And then the staff get their salary as there's 2 staff members. So that adds to the $25,200. And then there's the monthly corporate tax commission that we said, which is the 7%.
Sorry to cut you off. The presentation time is over. We can start the Q&A.
Great presentation, guys. Very thorough. I think you guys hit a lot of points that some other presentations missed. I think your existing COVID plan when it comes to looking at existing businesses as a way to generate revenue is a really, really good idea. That being said, I had a couple of questions in terms of and unfortunately we didn't get to the monthly net revenue in 5.3, but I'd be interested to see what that number is, if you'd be kind enough to provide that to me.
Yeah, so that's the 38,439.
Okay, so I wanted to know, out of the investment, you mentioned a lot of furniture, tables, chairs, beanbags, etc. And then you also mentioned that a lot of these places were existing restaurants, clubs. What happens with the current furniture that's in these locations?
Well, we would use this extra furniture as like overflow just in case there's like extra people, or like some of the furniture is like blankets and pillows, or like a coffee machine or a printer, or like the wall panels. These aren't like necessarily given in a restaurant, so we would give that. And then like the chairs and extra tables could also serve to like show our brand and uniformity.
So these would be in addition to the existing furniture inside of the locations already?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then my other question was, we talk about, and I don't know if you guys were going to get to this, but how do we justify the cost of the 20,800? Is that taken on by the host, or is that taken on by the corporate?
It is taken on by Workden. So
by Workden.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what are the and again, you may have just been getting to it, but what were the ways to develop top line revenue? How do you justify those costs?
So the profit predictions you're saying?
Well, what are the methods of profit prediction,
Well,
like top line revenue? How is that generated?
So there's multiple ways the revenue can be sourced. So there's the B2B sales, and then there's the day pass sales, one Workden, which is $9.99, and then there's the monthly pass, which is $34.99, and then there's the monthly pass is $99.99, sorry, and then the 5-day bundle is $34.99.
Okay. And is there any way those prices, how do they generate revenue? What are the methods taken? Was that ever mentioned?
Could you?
If you don't mind me interrupting, we were talking about the marketing strategies. So we would use the fact that these establishments already have some customers coming in, and we would do promotions on the app, on Facebook, on internet. Those are kind of given, which is why we didn't mention them there. But now that you're asking, and also like I mentioned that our unique selling point would be to compete with Google and Microsoft, we would use that tactic to publish everywhere, which would be all the social media sites, and that's usually what these days people check out the most when it comes to looking at new websites and looking at new places to come to. So those would be our strategies to encourage people to come to our locations.
Great, thank you. I'll pass it off to Tim or Mary.
Okay, I'll go next. Good presentation. Thank you. One thing you mentioned just now, Puneet, that you compete with Google and Facebook. So why is that?
I think I mentioned Google and Microsoft. Sorry if I mispronounced them.
Okay, Microsoft, sorry, yeah.
We mentioned that because we know spaces like Google and Microsoft offer spaces for their employees who can come and sit in creative spots and actually have those used as for meetings, for creative development, whatever they want to use that as. But general public do not have the access to that, since we are not all employees of Microsoft or Google. So that is what our promotion point was going to be. We wanted to make a space that was not just for a particular employee, but basically for anybody and everybody. It could be used by students, it could be used by any kind of professionals, it could be used by older people, basically anybody who needs some kind of workspace, or even just to come and sit down. They want to just focus on some certain things and do writing, do some kind of reflecting. They could use our space as a way of generating ideas.
Okay, thank you. What is your growth strategy? Like over time, how big do you think we could grow this business? And how would you get there?
Sorry for interrupting before you finish your sentence, but so looking at the growth right now, the co-working industry is not expected to increase due to like COVID and from previous companies like WeWorks, where they've like almost been bankrupt, I believe, and other companies being bankrupt. But our growth strategy is based on the idea that, as Puneet said, that our workplace is able to be just as good as like a Google or a Microsoft, which gives a different environment than a regular like co-working space where it's just like an office work or like cubicles. This allows everyone to like be able to have a relaxing environment with like our unique selling point.
I'd also like to add to this question where since we would be partnering with local businesses, restaurants, bars that are closed during the day, and nightclubs and etc., hangars even, because a lot of private clients own very large square footage hangars at airports, which would be very beneficial for business owners that are traveling and need a place really quickly once they land. So that would be right on the airport available. So one beneficial benefit in order to expand for us would be that a lot of business owners that are doing poor during COVID, such as restaurants, would see that, okay, we are offering this workplace for business owners to come, and these business owners are going to get hungry while they're there. So they will buy food and meals from these restaurants, etc., and it will increase business. Therefore, these business owners will be happy with us being there. And over time, it will spread the word, and other small business owners would be interested in having us take part, take some time out of their company as well in order to expand more.
So I want to add one thing, like as my friend mentioned about the private companies or any private enterprises that are going to settle up. So there are many people who are like have a desire to become like a lawyer or any private practice person, be it a financial advisor or something. So like we can give them an incentive, like this place can be your like a future goal, like a place you can where you can attain your future goal. Like as we know that Amazon also started from a small place, and today now it's the world's largest e-commerce. So a small place can be a destination to a paradise you could have in future.
Okay. So I'm going to hand it over to Tim now, because I'm not sure how many more minutes we have. Over to you, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks, team, for your presentation. I'm not convinced that you know who our target market is. When I look at these drawings, wouldn't we be better off just investing in our time and energy and accumulating more cool, fun places that have their own kind of aesthetic, you know, and not worry so much about a 4-person table, but just work more on places that where people will want to go there and kind of, you know, meet up with folks and stay around for a drink afterwards or stay for lunch or dinner. I mean, startups or small businesses, I don't think capture really our target market. I mean, I think we're looking at a much more creative or artistic person. Why is this the way to go?
I think that if we do, I think a restaurant is the perfect place for being creative. If you're in a workspace in a cubicle, you're surrounded by the same 4 walls, the same 4 cubicle, whatever, like there's no room for creativity. Most people, like when they think of creativity, they want to be like in nature or like something that like is colorful, and an office building is not colorful.
I'd also like to add, you also mentioned grab a drink, stay with friends, other business owners, create connections. So at restaurants, this would be a great place to start, because with these restaurants, people will already know restaurants. People that already want to come eat at those restaurants will come and potentially become buyers and get memberships to take part in this workspace that they would like to use during the daytime. And like you mentioned, expanding to more creative, larger places would be difficult for us right now, because that would be a very, very large investment. Plus, many people would not know if it's some type of creative warehouse where there's not a lot of foot traffic. You know, people are not inclined to come because there's food and such available. We feel like restaurants and bars and taverns and such, especially with COVID, would be a great place to start, because not only are they doing poor, but it would let us create bigger connections to get to more creative areas and locations.
See, I agree with. See, I think I'm not suggesting a big location or an airport hangar, as you mentioned in your presentation. I'm talking about just the hottest, you know, restaurants and cafes and so on, you know, that where people are already kind of going there to work anyways, but this way they're guaranteed a seat. I think the guaranteed seat is what is the lure. Why not focus on the app and connecting people that way? That way we can leverage from a marketing standpoint, promoting the locations, but also connecting people in unique and interesting ways, you know, that a beanbag chair can't.
as far as the app goes, I'm not sure if we mentioned, we did not think of creating connections through the app because we already have so many connections of apps like LinkedIn and such. But as far as the app goes, we mentioned the coffee machine that would work alongside the Workden app that is already created and built to communicate and buy memberships and reserve spots. So in that app, they would be able to set up what drink they would like and go to the coffee machine and it would already be ready for them. Same with the vending machine in certain locations, which would not be in all locations, but they would purchase what they want, no need for cash, minimal touching the machine, minimal COVID spread. They can use their QR code off their phone to straight up scan the machine and they get what they wanted. So we tried to incorporate the app a little bit, but I do agree we did not incorporate the app as much as you have mentioned.
But wouldn't a place that needs a vending machine violate our strategy as a company? Shouldn't we avoid those locations? Shouldn't we focus primarily on driving the business towards, our partners?
I could answer that question. So while answering the situation of making the business our partners, we are primarily focused right now towards the business houses that have been affected with the COVID-19. Basically, if you talk about Starbucks or any of the big business houses, they are running at their own pace. They are not that much impacted and they have a lot amount of collateral and money or financial standards with them to cope up with their market policies. But what about the local businesses or very small house businesses who don't have that much amount of collateral with them and can keep up with their own things? I know partnership can influence our business and can get into great heights, but on the contrary, if we can get the local businesses to the same level, or not to the same level, but to some level, then we could spread the message of humanity as well. That's also should be done in business, what I believe.
Yeah, I agree, but it has to fit strategically at the end of the day. Although we're in COVID, we didn't start in COVID, right? We're looking at creating a unique strategy within a growing market, and I want to continue to do that, right? So I guess my question is, what's the best? What's your ideal location? If I'm adding a location next, what's the ideal? What's the criteria by which I select it?
I think the next thing we could choose, if it was in our control, would be to use the airport hangars like Keto was talking about, because we could modify those spaces completely and not have any pressure by the owners that are already there. Since we're going to be renting them out or giving a commission to the owner, we're going to be using all our kind of equipment, because one of the things that we were really prominent about was the fact that we wanted to brand the location to be completely a Workden space. So if we do something like that, we would want it to use the airport hangars to not just use these 4 drawings. This was just one of the things we could make in the 6-hour period. We will definitely expand in the future and use these as an initial investment, and definitely take the app into an account. I think I mentioned that in the presentation. Sorry if I didn't make that too prominent, but we want to use the app to give people what they want. So initially we would see what kind of response we would get from the people, and then incorporate more and more things that people would want in there, just and make it more competitive when it comes to, like I said, with Google or Microsoft, since those spaces already are so popular. But we would talk to the customers and ask them what would they want in our spaces that makes us more unique and they would want to look forward to, if that answers the question.
Thanks for your presentation. That's all our questions.
Yeah, so now we can start the 10-minute deliberation period. Judges, you can hop into your breakout room, and participants, you can join your waiting room.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okie doke. I'm gonna add the participants back in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. So I'm going to begin our feedback session. I actually oversee our MBA case competition program at the John Wilson School. So competitions is my life and coaching is my life for over 20 years now. So the feedback we want to give you is really kind of to help you kind of getting into tomorrow, because I know you guys compete again tomorrow, another case tomorrow. So first of all, I want you to understand that you wouldn't normally present a document as you did. You know, we would expect a PowerPoint presentation. And the reason we would expect it is, one, because it'll be easier for you in the time that you have to generate and put it together. But importantly, the PowerPoint is a critical piece in the storytelling of your plan. You know, when you show us a document, we get lost in the words, and then you yourselves get lost, and some of you were reading. The reality is, you would generate a document such as that, you would send it to your client would read it, and you would come in and you would pitch to us. So focus on the pitch. I promise you that's the expectation from all the judging panels you're going to see this week. So, you know, we were a bit taken back at the fact you shared a document. It's very clear you worked very hard, you know, and there was a connection and a flow throughout the entire document. I know that's very hard to pull off in a short period of time. So a PowerPoint will be much more effective in terms of doing that. And then you saw yourselves, you got kind of caught with time at the end. You know, I thought we looked at a lot of the startup costs and budget costs and looked at some budgets. I thought that was a good piece, a good strong piece of your overall plan. You looked at it. But I think fundamentally, and for us, and you'll hear it from of course, Anuja and from Mary, strategically, in our view, there's a disconnect, because who is this client? What do they want? And the idea of going to an airplane hangar or bringing in vending machines really violates significantly the strategy. Now, we can debate this, right? But if you're going to kind of go against the grain, it's crucial that you kind of, I would say personally, from my point of view, start there. So, you know what, we don't like what you're currently doing, or we need to make a serious change in terms of what you're currently doing. Now, let's spend the next 14 minutes of the presentation to explain to you why, and why a change is necessary. Because, you know, a hot cafe downtown, close to where people work or live, is vastly different than an airport hangar, you know, that's remote and hard to get to. Okay, they're very different strategies. They're more like a WeWork scenario. And what this firm is trying to achieve is a very different, unique position. And I think spending more time on the client, understanding a target market and what they want, how to connect with them would be important, because they're very different than your typical Google employees looking for that experience. That's exactly what WeWork is doing. So what is it about this client and what makes them unique, and how can we monetize that in a way that makes sense? How can the app tie into this? How can the furniture and innovation that we make tie into this? This is where, you know, you want to focus the majority of your attention, because it's a very unique strategy. Again, if you don't like it, make sure it's clear you understand where they're coming from and so why it's not optimal kind of going forward. That would be kind of my general feedback. And of course, open it to others to offer some more.
Mary, I think you're on mute.
Thank you for that. You want me to go next, Anjur?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation. I thought it was interesting. I have to agree, it was tough to follow. Plus, I have trouble seeing the screen with the little font. So I encourage you to use the PowerPoint, as Tim had mentioned. You know, I'm just going to give you a very basic piece of guidance. I would say read the case study once, and then read it again, and then read it a third time, because I think some of the points in the case were pretty clear. It's a very agile organization that has a very particular vision. Cost effectiveness and scalability is of paramount, and as well as sustainability and ethics. So I think that those were things that were, I'm not sure you picked up on them. However, I have to say, I love your designs. If I was shopping around for some of the stuff that you guys put together, it was really well done, but I just think it just missed the mark of the whole case. Over to you, Anuj.
So I'm just going to go over some points. Basically, as I was telling the judges, when we look at this company on a week by week basis, being a partner in it, I think we always look at ways to find out unique spaces that are easy to implement, that could be recreated over and over. One of the ideas you guys brought up was the airplane hangars, which happen to be completely outside of what our target would be. So I would take a look at kind of the case one more time to see exactly how they're positioned now. And if you're going to come with something out of the realm of what they're looking for, really have to justify the reason for that. That being said, I think you guys were very thorough. I think you guys looked at all aspects of the business and were able to comment on each of them. However, the accuracy of that was a little bit off for me. Besides that, I think that there's great potential with you guys. I think you guys looked at all of the aspects very in depth, but I would just ask for a little bit more organization and clarity next time.
So in terms of presentation, if I can maybe just give you a couple more points, we got a couple more minutes. I mean, you're trying to answer three fundamental questions ultimately, right? What, why, and how. So what are we going to do? The kind of the mandate, recommendation, why we're doing it, kind of the analysis, and then the how, implementation steps to kind of take it forward. And if you look at the time that you have, the 15 minutes is really a pitch. So the how we're going to do it becomes important, because how it's going to work, how it's going to fit out, how it's going to roll out over time, what's the revenue impact going to be, but importantly, how are we going to roll the marketing plan, how are we going to communicate with our partners and our our hosts, and as well as the end consumer, how is it going to grow over time, the app, what features should we be adding, what customers want, how can we benchmark that against other apps that are out there, what can we learn and take those lessons learned and kind of incorporate them. But this really starts from kind of strategic position, where you want this firm to be in a few years, how it has to grow, and then focusing how it's going to grow and kind of grow it, your overall plan from there. So I should know very clearly in the beginning, you understand the mandate, what do you see as what we should be focused on and prioritize. In my opinion anyways, I would give my recommendation up front, make it very clear. You love it or hate it, you know what I want you to do. And then I have the rest of the presentation to convince you that's the way to go. I would take maybe a third of the presentation and focus on analysis, really drive the message as to why this is the best place to go. And then really focus more on engineering, the technology, the marketing, all those, combining the engineering and marketing side, how it's going to work, how it's going to function over time. So everyone really kind of understands very clearly both the macro and the micro of your presentation. That's generally it.
All right, so I think that's all. Participants, you can leave the room.
I would like to say one more thing. Thank you, Tim, Anuj, and Mary, for your guys' analysis. We will definitely take these tips into account for our next competition tomorrow. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your guys' evening.
Yeah, good luck tomorrow. Enjoy.
For your feedback. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you for your feedback. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
And judges, you can enter the breakout room.